am back with another new toy, so let's unbox it together. This is a mug press machine used for sublimation tumblers, and I have never done sublimation before, but I am super excited to give it a try and get some tumblers subbed out. Let's open this up and see what we all have. First, this is the machine, and it actually is pretty lightweight. I was expecting something a little bit heavier. It has this little latch in here, and you can tighten and loosen that screw for the cup that you need. You get a little sample tape roll, and then the handle you have to put on yourself, which is super easy. It comes with a little Allen wrench. Undo the screws that are in there, put them through the handle, and then just reattach it to your machine. Pretty self-explanatory. And then it has some gloves for the heat and the tape, and it came with a few sheets of paper, which was super cool. So let's dive in and take a look at actually doing a sublimation print on this and see how it turns out. So here's a little view of everything that you will get in the box. And here I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to power the machine on. It is in Celsius on the top, so just depending on what you do. I typically am in Fahrenheit, but I'm just going to use the middle button. It runs around 350 degrees, 356, something like that. And it will flash as it is warming up. So while that warms up, I'm going to go ahead and cut my sublimation print down. So I'm going to go right along one edge there so that we have a nice clean line. This is a print that I made and it's seamless, so I want to make sure I don't cut too much. But I'm going to do one side, the bottom, and then the top. The top is mainly white, so it doesn't matter too much, but I'm going to cut off right along where that black tip just touches, and then the center doesn't matter too much, but I just don't want a lot of overhang so that I don't get any ghosting on the tumbler when I do it. And I'm just going to leave the other side, since it's white, a little bit longer to overlap. Now I want to prep my tumbler, so I'm using a 24-ounce plump tumbler from the TIPSY Magnolia, and I couldn't find my spray alcohol, but I just have some rubbing alcohol here in a little squeeze bottle, so I'm going to use an old rag and make sure that I wipe down my tumbler so that it's nice and clean before I go on to my sublimation print. And while that is drying, I want to make sure it's all dry before I put my print on there so no inks are going to bleed. I'm going to get my tape ready, and then I'm going to wrap my print around and make sure it lines up. Like I said, my print is a seamless design that I designed, so I want to make sure I get it exactly where it needs to go and before I get the tape on there. So while the machine is warming up, I'm going to slide it out of the way. It will beep when it's ready to let you know, and you want to make sure you pull this really tight. So once you get it lined up, make sure you have your seamless edge underneath, and that white strip, if you have an overlap, goes over the top. You can also just cut this exactly down on both sides so that you don't have the overlap. I haven't done a ton of sublimation, but I have found that I've done it both ways and both of them work out for me, and I haven't had any burning or ghosting or anything like that. So I'm just going to tape my tumbler up, and when I put the long strip down the seam, I am going to use my little scraper here. This one has a nice sharp edge on it, and I really want to push down on that seam line. Again, I don't want any air bubbles in there or any gaps that are going to get in and cause a white ghosting effect on my tumbler. I want it to be totally sealed. So after I have that on, I'm going to go around the top, and my piece is a little bit short, but I'm just going to get one long piece and wrap it around, and I just want to pull that nice and tight. I don't want, again, any more air bubbles under there or anything, and I want the design to be perfectly smooth top to bottom. So I fold the top in and kind of wrap it over so that it's perfectly tight, and then I'm going to go in and do the same thing to the bottom. So again, I'm going to get a long piece. I've seen some people wrap this 2 or 3 times. I've found I've only done it once and it has worked out fine. Just make sure you pull it nice and tight again, and if your paper is starting to crease or bubble or anything, you might not have it tight enough. Now they do sell tools that you can use where you set your tumbler in it with the paper and it pulls it tight for you so that you know it's tight and it's going to be seamless. I haven't had an issue yet, but that would definitely be something that could work out if you would need it. And then just for extra caution, I'm going to add more tape stripes across the middle. Now once I have this all taped up, I'm going to pull my machine back down to me, and we're going to get this set in. I did use my nail one more time to make sure the seam is all pressed down on there. You could use your little squeegee or like a butter knife, anything sharp, credit card, something like that. You just want to make sure it's nice and tight. Now the machines do get very hot, so they do come with some gloves, and I'm just going to go ahead and put those on to make sure I don't burn myself. And I'm going to use the seam line right here, and I'm going to put it straight down on the bottom. Now, I had a little accident last week and I broke something in my room, so I just needed to wipe out the inside and make sure that I didn't have any dust or lint or anything that was going to kind of make a bump in there. Once you get it in, just pull that nice and tight and the handle will latch. And then down here, it has 3 different timer settings. There's 100, 200, and 300, and those are seconds. So I'm just going to set this for 100 seconds, and I'm going to let it cook. Cook, I guess, I don't know, let it heat up. So while that's in there, you can also adjust the latch on the top by twisting the handle if you need it to get it tighter. On the back, you see those 2 black knobs. You can also twist those in. So you can adjust it if you have a large 40-ounce tumbler. You can adjust it for handled tumblers so the handle can stick out the top. Whatever size you're using, this does expand and contract, so you can get it to the perfect size that you need. So I'm going to speed up this 100 seconds here, and when it's done, I'm going to open that latch and then open it up again. And now I'm going to take the seam that we had facing down into the machine, and I'm going to turn it up straight to the top. So I'm just going to do a 180 flip on this, get it lined up there again, and then I'm going to latch this one more time, and you can see I do get it nice and tight. Not overly tight where it's not hard to pull it down, but it is nice and snug. So again, I'm going to set this to that 100 seconds and let it go. Now, after this, I'm going to take it out and be done. I have tried in the past where I have pressed the top and the bottom rims like an extra 5 seconds and just kind of turned them a couple times just to make sure that there's no ghosting there. But I kind of wanted to see what it'd be like if I didn't do that, and it came out fine. So personal preference, I think, and just kind of after you use it a while, see what works for you. But I have not had any issues with this machine. It has worked great for me. So now that that is up, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to latch my machine up and turn it off and then just slide it off to the side because I am done and I do not need it right now. So make sure this cup is going to be hot when you pull it out. So make sure you're still wearing your gloves, or you have something. I probably could have had like a pot holder to set it down on as well, but I've got a silicone mat down here. So I'm going to remove my tape, and I did not have my X-Acto knife near me. I have slid the X-Acto knife down the middle to kind of slit the tape open. You just want to be very careful that you're not pushing it too hard, that you're going to scratch your tumbler underneath. So you want to go really light. It might take you a couple of passes, but I'm just using the scissors to snip the tape on the top and the bottom, and then I'll start to lift it up. You can also just rip the paper, or you'll see here in a second that I just use the edge of the scissors to kind of lift up that tape and get it to peel up for me. Now this is always the fun part, when you get to peel up your paper and see the design that is hiding underneath. And after this tumbler, like I said, it is from the TIPSY Magnolia, so it has one of those bottoms that you can remove. And this is going to be going up for an auction at my sister's benefit, as my sister was diagnosed with AML leukemia recently. So I'm going to take that bottom out, and I think I'm going to do some glitter and some rhinestone bling on the bottom just to make it a little bit extra fun. Since this is not epoxied and not glittered, I want a little bit of bling on there. So I will have this tumbler press linked down in the comments below if you want to check it out, along with all the supplies I used and some discount codes as well.